We're thrilled to have welcomed our first grandbaby recently. But growing this precious human hasn't been easy on our daughter. The unrelenting pregnancy fatigue really took it out of her.
One thing that helped was keeping her fluids up, and she loved Rehydrate. Rehydrate is an essential electrolyte drink made by some great guys right here in Brizzy. It's safe during pregnancy and breastfeeding and is like a magical little energy and hydration boost for mum and bub.
If you're growing a little human or are just feeling a little run down, grab some at Coles today.
This is the Happy Families podcast with Dr. Justin Coulson. We are Luke and Susie, and this is the podcast for time-poor parents who just want answers now.
Today, tweenagers.
Just before we talk about the tweenagers, I'm a little bit concerned. I shared this with Susie earlier, but I wasn't able to share it with Luke. Did you hear about the shoe factory that burnt down just over the weekend? No.
No.
Yeah, it was really sad. About 10,000 souls were lost.
Can we restart this segment?
You know, I tell dad jokes.
Yeah.
And sometimes he laughs.
That's why you're not a comedian. That's why you're not a comedian. All right, let's take a look at this question. I'm going to move you on.
We need to be serious. I know.
Okay, we are suffering tween friend dramas, says one mum. She says, my daughter comes home upset because she feels left out by her friends. I want to wade in there for her, getting her invited to play dates, etc., talking to other girls' mums. But should I?
Right.
Wow. One of my favourite authors in this sort of tween teen girl area is Rebecca Sparrow.
Right, yes.
And if you've got a teenage girl and you're not following Beck on social media, you've just got to get onto that. She's just wonderful. Her advice is so good. It's funny as well because with that question, when it seems like lately we're talking a lot about my new book that's coming out in January. I'm not actually doing it intentionally, I promise. You brought up the question.
Are.
No, I'm not. But I've got a new book coming out about teenage girls. Oh, we've got a title and we've got a cover.
Oh, awesome.
The book is called Misconnection. Why your teenage daughter hates you, expects the world, and needs to talk.
Oh.
I know. But
Makes me wish I had girls instead of boys. No.
I'll write a boys' book one time, I'm
Please
sure.
do.
One of the things that came out in the survey, I surveyed about 400 of them and interviewed them and talked to their mums, and the number one thing that brings them joy, what was it? Guess. What do you think the number one thing that brings teenage girls joy is?
Oh, I have zero clue.
Looks like, I'm a boy and I have boys.
And that's right. No reference point. I never saw my sisters happy.
Look, I want to go against my instinct. I'm going to say something to do with social media, winning in social media or on something on the phone.
Okay. Well, it's kind of related to that. The answer was friends. The thing that brings them more joy is friends. When I asked them what made life hardest for them, Friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So friends are oxygen to our tween and teen girls. I mean, friends are important for us as humans. We're an ultra-social species, but for our teen and tween girls, my goodness, they matter. And when things are not going well for them, as parents, because we love our kids so much, we want to dive in. We want to say to them, well, let me fix this for you. Let me help you. I don't know that that's always the wrong thing to do, but I'm not sure that it's always the best thing to do.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's not answering the question yet. Okay. We're going to need more on this as we look at, do we or do we not rescue our children when things are not going right with their friends? I personally am so far unsatisfied with the specialist's answer. So let's get more out of him.
I gave you a chance to wrap it early. Come on.
Sounds like offence to me, Dr. Justin.
All right. Okay. So when we wade in, we often complicate things, but we can assist from the side. We can do practical and instrumental things, and you can find those kinds of ideas on the internet everywhere. I just don't think that most of the time, in most cases, that's helpful. The kids start to feel pressured. They start to worry that they're not good enough. They feel like their parents are judging them. When we say to the kids, well, you just need to go and talk to somebody. Why don't you get somebody's phone number and we'll organise a play date? Luke, we'll organise a play date on the weekend. We'll get you together. And the kids go to school feeling pressured. They feel anxious. Anxiety levels go up. It makes things really challenging. I'm not saying we shouldn't do that. I'm saying I'm not convinced that in most cases it's the best thing.
So if our child is feeling left out, what is the core need that we as parents can address with them?
What I think that we want to do is respond to them with empathy. respond to them with validation, respond to them with understanding, and then let them work out the best way forward themselves. So when a child's having a really hard time, what we do is we sit down with them and we hug them and we say, it's really hard when you feel like you're alone. Feeling isolated is one of the hardest things that you can go through. We let them know that we get it. There's a phrase that I often use: if you can name it, you can tame it. In other words, when we let our children know that we understand the emotional experience that they're living through, it helps their emotions to settle. As their emotions settle, we then get to have sensible conversations with them like, how can I help? What do you think would be the best thing to do here? Would you like me to be involved? Would you like to brainstorm ideas together, or have you got this and you're just having a bad day? We get to play with ideas with them once they've calmed down. But more than anything, they just want to know my mum or my dad gets it. They love me. They understand. This is a safe place for me to be at home.
When I'm at work and I'm talking to people professionally who are seeking my advice on how to advance their careers and get further in media or whatever it might be, I sit down and the advice I give as a blanket for everybody is, when you're in your workplace, sit down and approach everybody with a how can I help? Especially to your boss. How can I help? Does that philosophy work to your child in this situation? So rather than stepping in the midst of empathizing with them, to go, well, how can I help? And if they say, you can't, but let's just sit here and cuddle or
cry
or whatever. Or if they say, well, actually, can you help me to meet some people? Like, if they ask, it's a different scenario, right? Is that an approach that works in a scenario like this?
It's one of the things that I recommend all the time. One of the best ways to tell whether somebody's really reading the situation right as a parent or not is whether they step in or step out. However, you can almost never go wrong by stepping in with a how can I help? Because you're not stepping in to dominate, you're not stepping in to take over, you're not stepping in to punish or discipline, you're stepping in to say, I can see that this is hard for you right now, and I'm here for you. How can I help? It's such a non-intrusive way to intrude. It's such a wonderful way to step in without actually taking over. That may be one of the most powerful questions that we can ask our children when they're in crisis. I can see that you're having a hard time. Would you like a hug? What can I do to help?
This is one of those times where we get towards the end of chatting about something where I feel like as a parent, oh, now that I can take, that I can do. It's almost like I want to stick it on my wall as the reminder, how can I help? Because that would address so many things in my children's lives.
It goes across context. So we're talking here about a tween girl who's struggling. And what might often happen is, if she's emotional, she'll shrug her shoulders and say, I don't know, I don't think so, I don't know. And you say, well, I'm here to help. I've got some ideas. Would you like them, or would you just like a hug? You don't have to fix the problem. But eventually she might come to you and say, I really need help. At which point you're then invited to step in. But it could be sibling dramas. You know, the kids are fighting. Guys, you seem to be having a hard time. How can I help? It could be a child doesn't want to eat dinner. Wow, you seem to not really be enjoying this dinner tonight. How can I help? By asking the question, how can I help, we open up opportunities for meaningful conversations where we're invited into their world and we can actually do the guiding and the teaching and the instructing that's needed. With them asking us to please do it, rather than us jumping in and saying, I'm the parent and listen to me.
So good. Dr. Justin Coulson, at the end of the first part of this chat, I thought you were going to give us nothing but that.
I never doubted you for a second,
That's
Justin.
gold. Thank you so much.
At your service, yes, no problem at all.
For more details on Justin's books, programs and podcasts, you can jump online to happyfamilies.com.au, and to find out how to have Justin come and speak at your school, organisation or event, you can find more details at justincoulson.com.